Hey, good morning, YouTube. Captain Paul here. This morning I want to talk, my 911 series on boat buying, but today I want to talk about surveyors and why this is so important and why people make so many mistakes with these surveyors and what a good surveyor should do and what he should be looking for. So, in my professional opinion, you should never hire a surveyor from a broker because a lot of these guys are connected at the hips, and the broker works basically for the surveyor. It happened on the last boat I was just on, and not that he got a super bad survey or a good survey, but it was an unbiased survey in my opinion because he was working for the broker, and he also charged the boat buyer a lot of money for the survey. And that was on the 4588 Bayliner I was just on. And I just wasn't a fan of that. And when I first purchased my first boat, I got involved with all that, and I got involved with some bad people, and just pretty much, the surveyor was not a credentialed surveyor, and he really has no business surveying a boat. I didn't know all that in the beginning. It was a tough lesson. I learned it the hard way, and you don't need to learn it the hard way. You can learn from my mistakes, and this was a big one. So what does a surveyor do? The first thing you do is you call your surveyor up. He should be NAMS or SAMS certified. You can just look in the yellow pages, or you can go to the NAMS or SAMS, and they'll give you a directory, and they'll give you the surveyors in that location where the boat is located. And why that's so important is because they're recognized by the insurance companies to write a survey. And then the insurance companies usually trust that they do a good job because they have to pass some type of schooling that gives them a starting and stop point and a good reference for doing a survey. A good surveyor on a boat will start usually from the front of the boat. They usually get there in the morning, and then they start in the very front, work their way all the way back. And so they're testing whether they're inside the boat or the outside of the boat. They're testing, they're doing moisture meetings on the outside, on the inside. All they're doing is pretty much turning the switch on or turning the switch off. All they do is report whether the switch worked or it did not work. They are not mechanics. They are not there to fix your boat. When they get inside the hull, which is down inside the engine room, they should be checking all of the through hulls that they can. They can't always get to all of them. Sometimes you got to be a contortionist in these boats. And I want to hear in the comments, should you buy a boat with working through hulls or non-working through hulls? I want to hear what you say in the comments. It's a big issue, and a lot of people buy boats with unworking through hulls. All your through hulls, if they're connected to a water line in the boat, whether it's your main engines, your generator, your heads, whatever, they should be working. And that is my opinion, and that's all he's going to report. And he's not going to sit there and try and wrestle one closed or open. He's simply going to put his hand on it, and if applying the right amount of slight pressure, it does not open or close, he's just going to put inoperable. And so then you have to deal with that as a boat buyer or a boat seller. So that's pretty much what a good surveyor do. Just turns everything on. It either works, and then he reports it, starts from the front of the boat to the back of the boat. Then he's going to go, and you're going to do what they call a sea trial. This is usually done when you're taking the boat over to the haul out yard. This is usually done then. You, as the buyer, are welcome to be on the boat. Typically, your broker or your representative would be there with you too. And the good surveyor is going to ask to do a few maneuvers with the boat. He's going to do S-turns. He's going to check the autopilot. He's going to check all the systems that are operated with that boat to make sure that they're operating properly. One of the big things they do, and they will request, is a wide open throttle test. And the reason they do that, it really tests the cooling system on the boat. If the engines are getting hot as the boat goes to full throttle, then you have an issue with the boat. It's usually in the cooling system, and they can note that, and it's a pretty easy diagnosis. So they do the basic engine test, full throttle. If you as an owner of a boat will not let your boat go to full throttle, they're all made to, all the diesels are. There's going to be a recommendation in every manual for every single boat and every single engine, and they're going to know those RPMs, and those RPMs are 3,600, or they're 2,400, or they're 2,200, or they're 1,400, or they're 1,800. That a good surveyor will already know that before he comes out to the boat, and he's looking for that RPM at full throttle test. Once they've completed that, the engines are up to full operating temperature before they start that. Then they will do that. Then they're going to do what they call a back down test, and this is going inside the engine compartment after he's done all of his tests inside there, and he's not an engine professional surveyor. He is a boat surveyor, so he's looking for specific things in the engine room. So he's got a heat gun down there. He's testing the manifolds. He's testing everything. He's making sure that the temperatures are not coming up in the engines. He's looking for blow-by. He's looking for anything like that in the engines. And then after he does his full throttle testing, brings the boat back down, he'll put it in neutral, then he'll ask to do a reverse test. And what he's looking for is to make sure the motor mounts, there's no issues with the motor mounts and the gears, and make sure everything goes into gear properly and out of gear properly. Then as you're driving the boat over to the boatyard, he's, they're just testing, like autopilot, all your other little systems, safely operate the boat, and then he gets it over to the boatyard. The boatyard uses a lift to pull the boat out of the water. Then they typically drive it over to a location and turn it back over to the surveyor. What the surveyor is looking for, he's going to take a hammer and he's going to tap out that hull. And what he's looking for is any discrepancies in the sound as he's tapping out that hull, because you cannot put a moisture meter on a wet hull. It doesn't work. And moisture is 20% and under is acceptable in the moisture meters, typically. But you're not going to get that when you pull a boat out of the water, and he's going to put his moisture meter on. It's going to say 100% moisture, and so that's why he uses a hammer and a special hammer and taps out the hull. So after he gets done with that, then the boat's put back into the water. And then when he gets, typically it's driven over to the marina, and then he'll spend the rest of the day going through the rest of the systems, usually working his way to the back of the boat. And that is what a good surveyor will do. He's not biased for the buyer or the seller. He's just there to see what operates, what does not operate, and then marks it down on his survey. The big thing is, in today's market, you really have to have a good survey to get insurance on the boat, because every discrepancy that he puts in that survey, so if it's this through hull's inoperable, you have to prove that's been fixed. So typically what I see just about on every single survey is expired fire extinguishers, maybe a smoke detector that's not working or not installed, and then the flares, they're always expired. It just is what it is. All these things will come back on the survey, and they will all have to be fixed and repaired before you can get your insurance. You usually have about a 10 or 15 day grace period, and then you typically a lot of stuff you can fix yourself, because like flares, just go put new flares, and then they're going to ask for the receipt for those flares. But any mechanical, like a through hull, would have to be repaired, and the insurance company is going to want to see a receipt saying that was repaired. Typically, this is just typical now in a boatyard like Nelson's Boatyard, to change out one of these through hulls, about $450 to $550 depending on the size. Now the big ones can go as much as $1,500. That's for the big ones with big engines that draw lots and lots of water with a big through hull. But typically the little ones for like a Lehman's and the other ones I've found to be around $500 each. So when you're doing your survey and you got 3 through hulls that don't work. If it's an air conditioner through hull, you throw $400 at it after the survey is complete, before you complete the purchase of the boat. You'll have a grace period there where after you can look at the survey, and this is what the survey's for, and then you can either accept the boat from the survey and the information you got, or you can negotiate for repairs, or you can tell the owner, hey, these repairs need to be made, and we can complete the purchase of the vessel, or you can take them on and ask for money off. A lot of times, I've been out on several surveys where these sellers are out there and they're going, what in the hell is this guy? I go, he's just turning. Wouldn't you want to know all the information about the boat if you were purchasing this boat? And he goes, well, yeah. And I go, so why would this guy be any different? You're better than him, or what's going on here? And it gets ridiculous, because when these boats, a lot of these boats have sat, the steering doesn't work, the navigation lights don't work, and then when you go out there for the survey, you find all this stuff out, and a lot of times you'll even have to cancel the sea trial because the boat is inoperable all the way. I find it so many times that this happens. Anyway, I hope you guys find these videos educational. Anybody has any questions, please feel free to email me, call me, reach out to me, and I will answer the phone call, and I will talk to you when I can. Anyway, peace out. Remember, live life with no regrets. I do. Thank you so much, and God bless, and thank you. Bye.